Right, today I'm with a man that needs very little introduction, Harry Findlay. Thanks very much, Harry. It's taken quite a long time to track you down and eventually get this going. So thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us. Now, I would say that you are probably the worst nightmare of the safer gambling lobby. The amount of times you've been down and nearly out, you've always managed to bounce back when other people would have gone skint. Now, what's your secret?
Good friends really, and staying alive. But no, I do feel that sometimes I'm a bit of a bad advert for people. Not a bad advert. How I talk about gambling so well and as if it's a great thing all the time, as if I've always, even going back when I was really young, I always took the blame for anyone else betting. If anyone, there was lads 3 or 4 years older than me in the local town that'd be punting, and I got the blame for all of it. So that's never going to change. But I do think that I do think that I do fly closer to the wind than most sort of what you call pro punters would dare do in my style of punting. Not so much these days, but no, it's I wouldn't say I'd be top of their list.
Now you talk about these days because going back a decade or so ago, you were extremely high profile on the telly all the time. You've gone undercover a bit recently. What have you been up to?
Well, it was the racing thing was really mainly down to Denman, and it was literally the Paul Barber's such a good guy that when I got the chance when Mum was retired to get a couple of horses with him in her name, that was the plan, and they went racing again. And my brother I've never driven, my brother drives, and he'd take my mum racing, and so it wasn't by design really. Just that the third or fourth horse we bought was Denman, and of course that was the reason why that became high profile. And I'm not disappointed about that, because of the route we took with the Hennessy, and in hindsight, and for so many reasons, I'm glad that's how it turned out. But it wasn't by choice.
Yeah, it famously ended up not great, which we'll talk about later on with the racing and your connections with it. But what do you punt on now? I assume you're still punting.
Oh, I couldn't live without punting. It's been great during lockdown betting on the Aussie dogs, but even that's drawing to a close, because the markets have changed so much now. Whereas for 20, 30 years, getting money out of short price dogs in Australia was literally, to coin a phrase, like finding it on the floor. And this last 12 months, I've been studying them, watching every race, watching every video, and I'm not even making it pay. And it breaks my heart to say so, but I just know that the computers are doing the same as I'm doing. And it was the same with tennis 10 years ago, and it's the same with all the short price punting. It's the horses are just incredible. It's hard to compare the prices. I mean, a race the other day where a horse got beat, funny enough, at Willie Mullins' first time out, Kilcrew, 14-1 on SP, and in the olden days, 20 years, 10% tax on course in Ireland, it's guaranteed that Kilcrew would have been a 4-on chance. There's just no doubt.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Australian dogs there, because I know for a fact that a couple of other dog shrewdies have been targeting the Australians. So they're a bit late to the...
No, they're not at all. They're shrewd. I can imagine who they are, and they'd be shrewdies who are betting. They won't be betting the skinny ones. That's my preferred style of choice on the dogs, and it's not there. But that won't be their style of dogs. They'll be looking for 4-1 chances or pricing up a card and betting where the value is. And no, they've got every chance, because they'll be taking on a certain algorithm themselves, but their own opinion will be good enough. And during the lockdown, I was working with Paul Lawrence, who's a great. He's done an interview with you, and great dog judge, and we were putting our heads together. So literally, if I fancied one, I'd text Paul, and he'd study it and look at it and check it out. And Paul's more of a sectional man, so if I ever fancied any dog over 2 bends in Australia, the big 2 bend, which a lot of the races are, I'd always ring Paul and say, "Who would I fancy this dog. What do you think of it?" And he'd text back and say, "Not for me," or "Yeah, I'm backing it as well," and then I'd double mistake.
Okay, so what are you winning on these days? What's your main...
Just the horses in Glen, really. And I've started myself, we'll come to it later, but with the tote again. Suddenly I can bet on jackpots. In the last week I had 5 5 days out of 7 last week I played on the UK jackpot. There was a good rollover, and even when it's won, they put up 10 grand the next day. So, and you can pay for pennies now. I know that sounds small, but the thing is, the 50p minimum stake as it used to be, you know, it was only a 10 grand pot. You can't play it, but now you can play for pennies on the Tote website, and it's fantastic value. So, and I mainly bet for enjoyment. I love the buzzer back in the winner and getting a kick out back in the winner. And for me, jackpots just do it for me. They always have. The Scoop Sixes was the most exciting part of my gambling life. Some people like doing Sudoku. I'm useless at Sudoku. Crosswords, I can't even answer a clue. But you know, I'm going to find out now. I'm going to try and find out now if I can get on about the American jackpots, because I do like. I've just since the tote's changed and it's in new hands, I've started doing it again, and I realise it's my favourite thing. And so many punters out there, it's a great way to teach yourself, you know, for small stakes. And as it stands, there's plenty of value. Little rollovers. You know, there's a trifecta rollover every set. Whenever during the week now, there's no trifectas one. So every Saturday, there's like a few grand in the trifecta. And if it's, say there's not that much more going in, it's just much more value than everyone's got to try and win. And that's, to me, there's not a lot of value in the things I do. The things I've done throughout my life, betting the short price, has completely gone in the last 10 years on every level, in every sport, in every way. You have to bet where the value is, and with the new things that to me, all Betfair punters now have got 2%, which is what I've argued for 10 years. Everyone of course thinks I'm an ambassador for Betfair, I work for Betfair, but that was never true. It was just a case of, you know, people ask where you play and what you do, and for me now it literally is. It's still. It used to be all Betfair. Now it's all Betfair or Tote, and we try and get on the odd fixed odd stuff, but with the dogs you can't get on, and the rest of it small anti-post. I think anti-post. I've always been in love with anti-post punting, and always will be. And I think that's another place where there's still value.
Do you think Betfair has caused the no value in the short ones? Is it because it's so accurate?
No, not just that. No, far from it. I think that human weak. I think that 99% of human beings wouldn't bet 4 on a 10 on chance, and that to me was a massive advantage throughout life. But now all the markets are made by bots, algos, and computers, and they've got no humanity whatsoever. They wouldn't, they won't care. So no, I think that's a small. Betfair has got a lot to do with most of the markets, but in terms of if there was no Betfair, I still think the skinny ones would be miles skinnier than what they used to be.
Okay, and one of your quotes is that to win at gambling, you've got to be able to adapt. Now, you know, you've just said that there's stuff that you used to win on that you can't win on anymore.
Yeah.
So how are you always keeping your eye on the next opportunity? Have you got like a sixth sense for finding them, or do you have to work hard at looking for them?
No, I mean, for me, I'm lucky because I'm an old guy now and I've got loads of contacts in most sports, and you can, we adapted on. I've done Belarusian football on my own, and Glenn got some Swedish mates to give us the odd tip on the trots when there was nothing going on for that blank three months. But no, you've always got to. I'm a gambler, so I'm a probability man. I'm not any good at any other kind of math. I'm just a probability man. So I think I can adapt to anything. But like, I've never ever learnt to play cards because I know it wouldn't suit me. You know, if I was ever playing cards in Vegas, and anyone dealt me 4 aces, there'd be no chance of me keeping a smile off my face. It couldn't happen. And I remember Guy Sangster, you can't believe it, Guy Sangster took me to, he had a pub, and he said, oh, there's Tony McCoy and all the lads and people from Ladbrokes, it's a charity thing, poker. Anyway, I said, no. I said, I said, you ain't to believe it, I can't play poker. And I can't. So anyway, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Anyway, he's taught me to come in, someone else said, anyway, I said, all right, I'll come. So anyway, there's 3 tables playing, knockout. And there's a girl from Ladbrokes on the side say, professional poker player, and there was all these, like half a dozen pros. Anyway, I was sitting next to her, to the croupier, and I told him when I sat down, I said, listen, I ain't played before, I said, you won't believe it. Anyway, we've had about 5 or 6 pints of Wadsworth 6X, lovely pint, before we started. Anyway, cut a long story short, he's half saying, marking my card. I've ended up winning it. Oh my word. One guy said to me, I was winding everyone up, I was winding up the Ladbrokes girls, they're professional. I had a big pile of chips like this. One guy, one of the work riding guy, a real nice guy, he said, pick a window. He said, pick a window, he said, because I'm about to throw you through it. Anyway, I ended up winning the tournament. I woke up pissed the next morning, 1,700 quid. And then guy said to me, he said, I told them all you'd never played poker before, and then you've only gone and won it. I got a glass trophy, but it was the worst thing I ever won. But no, I think you got to play to your strengths, and despite that win, poker wouldn't be one I'll be any good at.
So how many edges do you reckon that you've had come and go in your career?
Edges?
Yeah.
Well, where you're betting with a definite edge?
Yeah.
Well, I've never. When you were young, you had to get on, and you had to be. My personality wasn't always quite as it really was in a lot of ways, and always from day one, I've always wanted to have shrewd people around me and all be pissing in the same pot. I always want to know what other people think. If I wake up and I want to have £800 on a horse, and I ring up 3 people and they all fancy it, I'll have 1,600 quid on it. If I want to have £800 on a horse and I ring up 3 people and they're not backing it or they're laying it, I'm not having nothing on it. And so that was the same when I was 16. I'd always want to be around shrewd people and other people. That's effectively how the algorithms, how the Benhams and the Tony Blooms work, with more and more and more and more and more. And that's if I was a young team starting out, I'd be looking to have 4 or 5. Always have as many opinions as you can.
Yeah.
And that's so important. The guys who want to do it all on their own, that's a very, very hard trick.
Right, that's interesting.
And nowadays, well, it goes without saying, and that was all the top people's advice. For anyone, you want to get as many good opinions as you can. My best young pal as a teenager was Ray Swain, and he was 10 times a better judge of horse than me. The best point-to-point judge for miles around. But he always, if other people fancied the same horse as him, it'd give him the ump, and that's why he couldn't win.
Okay, so would you say then that nearly most of your bets are you've sort of consulted other people, or is there ever anything that you come up with on your own and you just think, I know this?
Well, to be fair, football is all on my own, and that's the main thing I bet on. But I'm just generalising, and even the football now, everything's so much against me. All the new rules, the pace of the game, the late goals, So I'm fading that out. That's my reason for going back towards jackpots and tote betting so much is not just because how good it is. It's because the football for me, you can't change your habits of a lifetime.
Okay.
And I've been an unders man and a 0-0 man and a no late goals man since the beginning of time. And although I still watch and love the football, it's not a big winner for me at the moment.
Okay, when you go to have a bet on the football, have you got like a form book in your head? You know certain teams, or do you have to sit down there and crunch numbers and work?
No, I watched the first half of Atletico last night and against Porto, and all I did was watch Porto batter them, and I just kept having more on Porto draw no bet. And at half time I text all my mates and says Porto draw no bet, lump on, and half an hour later Atletico with 3-0 up. So that's basically it. I play in running now because with all the syndicates getting team news and information, I'm not going to take them on. I work on my own. So it's just a case of watching a match. I normally bet outsiders in run. Normally that was one where it was each a 2 draw no bet. Porto were favourites, but that's all, so that's what can happen. But that's the sort of thing I do now. My own opinion, watching a game, I'll take one team against another, and normally I'm laying a favourite. Normally now they're too short in the market, the favourites quite often. So I'd maybe lay the favourite at Fireball and bet the outsider, or take the Asian handicap option. But on Betfair, the win markets is easier to play. So that's mainly how I do it. And football I do completely on my own, because there's no point asking anyone else, because as I say, 99% of it is in running or anti-post.